Assalamu alaikum and very good afternoon. As part of our guest lecture series, we are back in a very short interval. Last week we had the guest lecture, but today we are fortunate enough to have with us Professor Subodh Gupta. Last week, Professor Subodh sir texted me that he want to visit our department. I said it's a good opportunity to have a guest lecture from him because once I look at community medicine across the country, I find MGIMS at the top, even performing much better than in other institutions of national importance, because they have been doing real community medicine services in the community. It's not just sitting in the chambers and doing all those things, but they have been working actually in the community. So they have truly been the community medicine people. So we compliment them for that. So Professor Subodh has done his MD Pediatrics, and we have very rare occasions when people shift from clinical branches to public health. And we have seen Dr. N.K. Arora and Dr. Manoj Das, who have been again pediatricians. They have become public health specialists, and Sir is a living example. Then he has done his DNB in MCH and DNB in community medicine. And then he has been the faculty at MGIMS, and presently he is professor and head of the Department of Community Medicine at Mahatma Gandhi Institute of Medical Sciences, Sewagram, Wardha in Maharashtra. Can anyone of you just give an example? Tell me why is it called Sewagram? What is the historical perspective? Who gave the name Sewagram? Any idea? Seva. Yeah. Great. So we have a guest lecture on AARAMBH. Is an initiative by the Department of Community Medicine with Professor Subodh Gupta mentoring it, and it's the optimal thing that we can have a guest lecture on that. And I would request Professor Subodh sir to have a presentation on AARAMBH, early childhood development model, so that we learn from their models and see whether we can replicate such things in our institution, also in our field practice area also. Maybe a year back or 2 years back, we received a communication from their institution, from their department, for some collaborative project, but unfortunately that didn't mature. Something happened in between. So we are looking forward to have some collaboration with their department and institution, so that we have more interactive sessions within each other, and we learn from each other. I welcome again Professor Subodh Gupta sir and Professor Anshu ma'am coming to this department and being here for a guest lecture. Thank you, sir.
It started with a pilot project, and then it matured as a scale-up thing, which is being implemented throughout the state. So this has been a very exciting journey. And today, while I'm talking to you, basically there would be two lines of a story. One about early childhood development, but there is another line of thinking, that is how a program matures from a pilot to scale up. So while you are listening to it, probably you will find lessons for both the aspects. But before I start, I have a question for you. Just think, if health is a product, what is the place where the maximum production happens? The homes. I appreciate you for your answer. So it's actually household level, or we can say individual and household level. We ourselves do a lots of things which keeps us healthy, and then our families play a very important role. For adults, it becomes self-care also, but when it is about children, it is the care that they receive at home. So while we are talking about health and we are thinking about how to deliver health services, it is important how we empower the parents, the caregivers at the household level, and every family member, probably every community member, everyone, on how to provide care for children. And AARAMBH is actually about that kind of care. Next, I would like to you to think about a moment in your childhood, a moment which makes you happy in your childhood. Think about your interaction with your parents that makes you happy. When you are thinking about these moments uh, become building block for the bonding you have with your parents, the caregivers in the family. Your early childhood experiences define you throughout your life. It's not about everything that we do later in life or what we become, or think about our health, our values, our even our cognition, etc. Everything. Uh, it starts with your early childhood experience. The foundation starts from there. So, if it is a phase which defines us throughout our life, it is important that we spend for this, we invest for this. When I say that household level is the place where maximum health is produced, that does not mean that we blame parents for not doing the thing, but it actually gives us responsibility. It becomes a responsibility of the healthcare system and the government to invest for empowerment of parents and caregivers. And AARAMBH is about that. Okay, so let me start with the first slide, and I'm going to start with a study which was published in Lancet in 1991, and this study was conducted in Jamaica, so by Graham McGregor et al. And this study basically is about effect of nutritional supplementation and psychological stimulation on stunted children aged 9 to 24 months. What they did, they studied 129 children from poor neighborhoods in Jamaica, and they were randomized in 4 groups. So one group of control, one group which received nutritional supplementation, that extra supplementation, what happens in our ICDS through our Anganwadi centers. A third group was provided, in the third group, parents were counseled for psychosocial stimulation of the children. And in the fourth group, children, they were supplemented, and also parents were provided counseling for psychosocial stimulation. And then they had a matched comparison group of non-stunted children. So usually children who are stunted will have poor cognitive development. So let us see what happened in this group. And you can see the topmost red curve in this graph. On the y-axis you have development quotient, and on the x-axis the age in months. And then the topmost curve, the red one, is of non-stunted children. And then the bottom curve, the blue one, is about control children. So those children who were stunted and no intervention was given, for them the development quotient remained low and actually dropped down initially, and then it almost stagnated, it remained at that level. And see, the pink line is for children who were provided nutritional supplementation, and their development quotient was better than the control children. But the third line, the green one, is about those children who were provided psychosocial stimulation. Parents were counseled especially for that, and their development quotient is better than those children who were provided nutritional supplementation. And then the yellow line is about those children who were provided nutritional supplementation as well as psychosocial stimulation. And their development quotient almost matches the non-stunted children. Something very important. And this has defined programs, especially in Latin America and several countries of the world. This has provided an important lesson, and the countries have, nations have started working on early childhood development. But the story does not stop here, because these cohorts were followed later. And when these children were 17 to 18 years old, the stimulation group had higher reading, vocabulary, and IQ scores. And they had less depression and anxiety and higher self esteem. However, no difference was observed in the group who was nutritionally supplemented only. When the children were 22 years old, the stimulation group had higher adult IQ, education and learning, fewer fights and serious violent behaviors, less depression and social inhibition. And again, there was no differences observed for the group who were provided nutritional supplementation only. So effects of stimulation lasted, but not of food supplementation. Still, we are obsessed a lot with nutritional supplementation, but it is to be remembered that psychosocial stimulation is more important than nutritional supplementation. And psychosocial stimulation will also improve the nutritional outcomes. If you think about children who have severe acute malnutrition, many times you would have seen that in their homes they are not getting adequate psychosocial stimulation. Maybe someone is there's problem in the home environment. These children were further followed up, and a 20-year follow-up to this program tells that stunted children who received psychosocial stimulation earned on average 25% more income than stunted children who did not receive stimulation. So this is not only about health and achieving full potential at individual level, but this is also about development of whole nation, the whole community. Children who receive stimulation achieved the same average level of earnings as the non-stunted comparison group. The nutrition intervention had no impact on later life outcomes, and most notably, children who received stimulation achieved 0.6 more years of schooling, or 5.6% more schooling than participating children who did not receive stimulation. And we are nearly 3 times as likely to have had some college level education. So this is just to highlight the importance of psychosocial stimulation in early life. The early age matters, early moments matter. This is a famous curve given by James Heckman, who also received Nobel Prize. He's an economist, and his Nobel Prize is all about early childhood development. And the core work that he has done is reflected in this graph. And he tells that the returns on investment early in life is much more. It is about 17 times compared to return on investment that is done in later life. So all of us understand the importance of schooling. Even poor parents, they would like their children to go to school, and they would do everything possible to see their children doing good in schools. But we probably do not understand what happens prior to schooling. In the traditional wisdom, parents are always considered the first gurus, first teachers of children. Every religion, I think, considers it that way. And that is really, really important. Okay, so based on this, if we have understood the concept, then this is the WHO UNICEF framework for nurturing care. Nurturing care is nothing but what all families need to do for their children during early childhood. Early childhood, for the time being, I would say from conception till 3 years of age, what all families need to do for their children. And WHO and UNICEF and other agencies, they identify these 5 important components or domains of nurturing care. It's a health, nutrition, early learning, security and safety, and responsive caregiving. So these 5 components. Actually, responsive caregiving is the core thing which will encompass every other domain of early childhood development. So we had been talking about health and nutrition for a very long time, and also we understand the importance of safety and security, although it's very difficult to work for it. But probably we do not talk enough about early learning and responsive caregiving. So AARAMBH is a model which tries to incorporate these 2 components, early learning and responsive caregiving, very strongly in whatever we had been doing till now. We have known about the importance of early childhood for a very long time. So I remember when I was doing my post-graduation in pediatrics, at that time also I remember that concept that early childhood is important. The first few years of life are very important, was quite evident from both nutrition and development perspective. But the problem was how to reach them young. So although if you think about the objective of integrated child development services, that is also the beneficiary is from pregnant women till children 0 to 6 years, till 6 years of age. So we had been talking about it. But what are the services? When you think about what is happening at ground level, it mostly reaches children 3 to 6 years. Because reaching children below 3 years had been difficult. How to reach them early was a difficult task. So in AARAMBH, we tried to develop a model how to reach them. And AARAMBH tries to make nurturing care aspirational using whole of society approach. Here you see 2 photographs, and one is about a brain wiring game, and Dr. Abhishek is a professor in the Department of Community Medicine at Sewagram, and he had this idea of the game. And this game, a simple game where we use a bundle of threads or rope, you can say, and that has become so popular. It would have been played probably a lakh time all over the Maharashtra. And in other photograph, you see a sarpanch addressing villagers on the importance of early childhood development. These 2 frontline functionaries, we all know them, Asha and Anganwadi workers, are the pillars of nurturing care in India. We cannot do anything for pregnant women and children without them. So of course we are using these frontline functionaries for AARAMBH initiative as well. This diagram, basically we thought about it later, we put it in a diagram later, but this depicts what we are doing in AARAMBH. So this is our AARAMBH model. And already I've shown you those 5 domains of nurturing care. So we thought of that coming as roof of the hut, early learning, adequate nutrition, responsive caregiving, good health, and safety and security. And then the 4 pillars we thought are very important. These are the strategies to reach children, young children. The first pillar is of customized messaging. Messages which are customized to each child and each family. And what are the opportunities we have for these? One important opportunity is home visit. Already we have provision of home visits by ASHA, and Anganwadi workers. And today in India, we have ICDS universalized all over the country, especially in rural areas. And also, we have more than 10 lakhs ASHA. It has reached every part of the country. So through them, home visits are happening. Can we put messages on early childhood development or all components of nurturing care, and we build the capacity of frontline workers to deliver these messages to the families. Similarly, we have an important session, growth monitoring and promotion session. Actually, growth monitoring and promotion does not happen the way it should happen, but if we are able to utilize that opportunity, it would help us a lot. The second pillar is of peer learning. What we do is not only like a frontline functionary or health functionary coming to us and telling us, but we learn from each other a lot. And especially think about mothers and fathers at village level, in urban areas maybe, and they talk to each other, they learn from each other what others do. And already through ICDS, we have a concept of mothers meeting, especially in Maharashtra. We had an order under Rajmata Jijau Nutrition Mission that in every Anganwadi center, every Anganwadi worker will conduct 4 meetings, weekly meetings of mothers every month. So we thought of restructuring those mothers meeting, and we are trying to make it a parents meeting. Although it's difficult to bring fathers in those meetings, it's not very easy, but we are making an effort on that. So it was just a restructuring of what is already happening, what is the opportunities which are existing. The third pillar is about community norm building. And you all being from community medicine, you understand the importance of community norm and how to build a community norm. Because whatever we practice is not that we know that this practice is good, we should do this, but we want to see, we want to understand what others will think about it. Okay, so that dictates lots of our practices. Therefore, it is important to build a community norm. And we thought of a community-based event, Parents Fair. In Marathi, we call it Palak Milawa. Palak means parents, guardians, and Milawa means fair. So we conduct a village-level fair for them. And we also use social media approaches for community norm building. And a fourth opportunity that we have not, till now we have not utilized it enough, it is about opportunities at health facility. So when you are sitting in your clinics and parents come, maybe immunization clinic or growth monitoring session, or even in OPD, or when children are admitted in hospital, that is an excellent opportunity of, and they are they are ready to practice what the doctors tell them. They are ready to listen to what the doctors or healthcare providers tell them. So this is an excellent opportunity, and that also should be utilized. But more important than these pillars, what is written in the platform of this. This is also 5 components which are written here. That is also very important. So an environment of appreciative inquiry. An appreciative environment, it's very, very important. When we, how do we want mothers to behave with the children? Be appreciative to them, praise them, ignore if they do something wrong. Okay, but if we shout at Anganwadi workers in the meetings, their supervisors shout at them and tell them that the children are malnourished in your area and you are not doing anything. What Anganwadi workers or ASHA will do? They will go back and shout at mothers and tell them, we told you last time to do this and you are not doing this. If you see the whole setting, how it works, from very top, I don't know how it happens in Kashmir, but what I see everywhere in India, at a state level, district level officials, they would shout on the district level officials, district level officials will shout on the medical officers or whoever is the block level officials, and this process goes on. And you cannot expect that mothers would behave nicely with the children if you have this kind of system. So you need to change the whole system. It's very difficult initially to believe that this will work, but believe me, it works. What we have learned, at least in the last 5 years, that this works magic. Second is skill building. Skill building is very important, and when we conducted the first training, in our trainings, we had made it mandatory that we would demonstrate everything. So whatever we expect the Anganwadi worker or Asha to do, we will demonstrate to them. And it's not we that we demonstrate. Actually, we make another Anganwadi worker and Asha demonstrate to them. So we were training the Anganwadi supervisors and Asha facilitators, and they came back and they told us, till now, nobody has shown us how to do a home visit. We expect them to do home visits, but we tell them in classroom how to do home visits, just mentioning their step, or maximum we do a mock session, mock home visit, and we tell them. We never took them to the field. It was surprising. We had not thought that they've never been taken to real home visits. But this is what was happening. So how do we expect them to conduct a real home visit the way you expect, unless until you demonstrate to them? And imagine a supervisor, Anganwadi supervisor, Asha facilitator, observing a home visit being conducted by another Anganwadi worker and supervisor. Immediately she gets convinced that if the Anganwadi worker or Asha of this area is able to do, our Asha or Anganwadi worker will also be able to do this thing. If we demonstrate, they may be in doubt that, okay, you are experts and you are doing, our Anganwadi workers and Asha will not be able to do that. Other three components, I'm not going to elaborate so much. Supportive supervision, we understand the importance of supportive supervision, so, but this must be strengthened. Community mobilization and intersectoral coordination. When we talk about lots of components, is about multi-sectoral in nature. Early childhood development definitely is multi-sectoral in nature. So at no point of time we should think that only health sector will do this. We'll have to engage all other sectors. That would be very important. So out of these, the 4 pillars, I'm going to describe the 3 important activities that we identified. So apart from that, many other things were done, but these 3 strategies were very important. And first was home visits, second parents meeting, and third parents fair or Palak Milawa. So these became the most important strategies of AARAMBH. So in home visits, and you have already seen home visits, I don't know if you anytime observed Asha or Anganwadi worker actually do home visits. Please do that, find time and observe them do home visits, what they are doing during home visit. But today, the way it has been restructured in AARAMBH, during home visit, they would do demonstrations. So they would learn from the mother what they are doing, mother or all family members. So basically they will call all family members. It's not only talking to mothers, but if the father is available, they will call father, grandparents, uncle, aunt, even siblings, whoever is there, they call everyone there. And they would learn from them what they are already doing related to health, nutrition, early learning, etc. And then based on that, they build on. and they would identify a play and communication activity, and they would demonstrate that to the parents how to do that. It is play activity based, involves all family members, and this home visit becomes an important platform for giving customized messages on health, nutrition, and everything, all components of nurturing care. And the MCP card, Mother and Child Protection Card, becomes the core element, the center point for the MCP card. Is beautifully designed. You would have already seen, but I'll tell you, go back and look at the MCP card, and it has sections on child development also. And this also becomes a platform where we try to engage fathers. Parents meeting, already I told you that there was a provision of 4 meetings every month by Anganwadi workers. We restructured the meetings and made it age band wise. So first week the Anganwadi workers would call for parents meeting pregnant and lactating women. In the second week, they will call mothers or parents of children 6 months to 2 years. In third week for 2 years to 4 years, and fourth week for 4 years to 6 years. And when these meetings are age band wise, it becomes very easy for them to give customized message for that particular age group. So if you are talking about a play activity, play and communication activity, it would not be generic. It would be focused on that particular age group. That becomes very, very easy. So again, these parents meetings are joyful, experiential. The frontline functionaries will demonstrate the play and communication activity with one child, and then support other family members, other parents or mothers to do that with their children. And this is play activity based. And then we have this Palak Milawa or Parents Fair, where the frontline functionaries, about 10 to 12 Anganwadi workers and 10 to 12 ASHA, ANMs, health workers, all assemble together, and they will have several stalls. Like if you come to a Palak Milawa, you find nowadays we are calling that activities. So there would be stalls with activities, say for physical activity of children 0 to 1, or of physical activity of children 1 to 2, like that. Or there would be for emotional development, we'll have separate stalls where there will be play and communication activities, and parents will come and actually play with their children during these Palak Milawas. They're simple stalls, like how you will tell stories to your children. So you would have in your childhood, you would have seen those 3 or 4 pictures, and you can build stories using those pictures. So we'll have those pictures, and we'll tell parents if you can tell your child a story. And there would be lots of activities for the parents who are coming to the Palak Milawa also. And then we are utilizing social media extensively. We started with social media even prior to COVID, but during COVID especially, it was difficult to conduct parents meeting, or parents Palak Milawa was not possible at all. So at that time we paid attention to social media, and today we have WhatsApp groups through which every day message is generated, which will reach every Anganwadi worker, almost 1 lakh Anganwadi worker in Maharashtra every day. So same message will reach to all of them. But when I'm talking about ARAMBH and describing all the strategies, one core element, if I have to identify for ARAMBH, that is the capacity building session, how we train them. So trainings are experiential, hands-on training. They are joyful, appreciative, and participatory. Usually, nowadays it has become very popular. So many times, the Anganwadi supervisors will come to our training session and they would say that we are waiting for this training. We had heard about this training from several people, and we were waiting for this training. And when they are leaving, they tell that we found it more than what we expected. So it is. I usually say that this is speaking their own language. What happens? Many times we blame frontline functionaries that they don't listen to you or they have limited capacity. But I feel that we do not talk in their language. I'm not talking about the language, say Hindi, English, Kashmiri, etc. I'm talking the way we train them, we talk to them. They are never they are not habituated to seeing PowerPoint presentations, and if we show them PowerPoint presentations, they would become get bored. They would not be able to understand. But the same thing, if we are able to do through activities, through games, they would understand the concept, and we are trying to do that. So a few quotations from the field. One of the Anganwadi supervisors said, and this was the first training we were doing, and she came to us and said, we never felt we are being trained. We felt as if we are being consulted. And we really appreciate, feel proud of this kind of feedback. The Deputy CEO or District Program Officer ICDS of one of the districts said that through Palak Melawa, whole ECD, which was limited to household initially, has become a community agenda. Or a father is describing how through AARAMBH he is learning to bond with his child, play and communicate with his child. What the data show us, and while I'm showing this data, let me admit that this is limited due to COVID. We could not conduct surveys, especially during 2020 and 2021. So we started the program in 2018, around September. And our survey was a bit delayed, so we conducted the survey in November, December 2018, and then after 1 year gap, we conducted in 2019. The idea was to conduct this again in November, December 2020, and every year after that. But 20 and 21, due to COVID, we could not do. But what we found through the survey, just after 1 year gap. So during home visits for 0 to 3 years, families were actually parents were asked if you received comprehensive counseling from Anganwadi worker, and we define comprehensive counseling that if the parents say that they received messages on child health, child nutrition, and also on play and communication, all three components in the last month home visit, this is comprehensive counseling. And this increased from 2% to 53% for Anganwadi workers. For home visits conducted by ASHA, it increased from 1% to 29%. Mothers who reported conduct of mothers meeting, it increased from 17% to 46%. And mothers meeting with comprehensive counseling. Again, it means during home mothers meeting, if messages on child health, child nutrition, and play and communication was given, all three was given, and that increased from 9% to 42%. Frequency of complementary feed 4 or more for 6 to 35 months increased from 38 to 62. Those who received at least 4 food groups in last 24 hours for children 6 to 71 months, it increased from, there was a marginal increase from 31 to 36%, and we had a responsive feeding score. And those who had responsive feeding score of 10 or more increased from 37 to 50. Similarly, for children or the parents who said that they had 10 or more play and communication activities for 0 to 3 in the last 3 days. That increased from 30% to 55%. The anthropometric indicators, the government officials, the health and ICDS both considers it the most important. At underweight got reduced by 7%, stunting by 2%, and wasting by 6%. We have conducted this survey once again in November, December 22, and we are currently analyzing the data. It would be ready in another month. So maybe we'll be able to inform all the stakeholders after that of what happened later. And then we also had a development quotient measured for a subgroup of the children. And we used the development screening test by Bharatraj and Vineland social maturity scale, and both DQ by DST by Bharatraj shows significant improvement from 107 to 137 of DQ, and for SQ by Vineland social maturity scale from 152 to 162. Okay. So after that, and somehow it clicked with the state. And I would like to say that this was not so much of advocacy from our side, but probably advocacy happened from the system itself. Because what was happening in 2 districts of Maharashtra, we were working, the pilot phase, we were working in 10 community development blocks. That went to the state authorities. And when we had a meeting with the Principal Secretary DWCD, a more stronger voice was from the DPOs, District Program Officers, ICDS, from the 2 districts compared to my what I spoke, and that actually made the effect. So for statewide scale up, we have a cascade model where we have trained key trainers, about 50 supervisors from pilot districts, and they would train about 250 master trainers, who in turn would train all Anganwadi supervisors in the state, and then they would train all Anganwadi workers. And this is a 3-cycle training of 5 days each for the till the supervisor level, and for frontline workers it is weekly 1-day training for 12 months. And we have already completed a lots of it. So first cycle of training is almost complete for all frontline workers. That is about 1 lakh Anganwadi workers in the state. And it's not only ICDS, but this has also started spreading to, like for health, we have another team which is supported by UNICEF and stationed at Nagpur, Nutrition Bureau Nagpur. And this is implementing AARAMBH, integrated AARAMBH and HBYC package in 6 districts. Aga Khan Foundation in Bihar visited us, and they have started implementation in 3 blocks in 3 districts of Bihar, and IIPH Hyderabad is doing this intervention in 2 districts in Telangana. I would like to say that AARAMBH had been a journey to us, and we started a long back, about 20 years back in 2003. We had a USAID supported project, and we started a model of parenting education through village level workshop. We called it parenting workshops or Palakatva Karyashala at that time. And this was done with engagement with health and ICDS sector. And then we got an opportunity to engage with, partner with WHO, and in 2012 we implemented this kind of package for early childhood development in just about 10,000 population initially, which expanded to 1 lakh population. In 2018 to 20, UNICEF partnered with us, and we reached 12 lakh population at that time. And then 21 to 25, it is a statewide implementation reaching to 12.5 crore population. And inshallah, we would be, maybe it gets scaled up to the whole nation. So Niti Aayog is closely monitoring this and in dialogue with us. Probably they also proposed this in the last annual budget of India, but it did not get accepted. They would try it next year again. Each stage, so although we had several stages, but at each stage we have rethought about the program. So we mapped the opportunities. So at each stage we mapped the opportunities, we adapted the package, we implemented it, evaluated, and then consolidated the findings, disseminated, and data advocacy. And every stage it has been participatory in nature. So this is one simple exercise we did with Anganwadi supervisors in 2018. So we asked them that if we have to reach parents with the messages on parenting, what are the opportunities? And a simple whiteboard, we wrote what they said. Initially, they only said Samata Sabha, Greh Bhet, Arogya Karyakram, ICDS, community-based activities, etc. And then we did a kind of multi-voting. We tell them that you have 5 votes, 5 ticks, and you can put your ticks anywhere. And this is the map we got. Although we had thought of those strategies already, but when we did this exercise with them, they owned the program. Today they feel they designed the program, and that is very important. That ownership is very important. When we think about what had been the reasons for success of the program, these are few thoughts. One, the participatory approach I already talked about. We utilized an incremental learning and action approach. In ICDS, they talk about incremental learning and action approach, where supervisors are established as trainers for frontline functionaries. And we utilize this incremental learning and action approach in the program, and that is an important factor, we think, of success for the program. Then demonstrations of parents meeting and home visits, already I talked about. Joyful learning, adaptation of the package for local needs. So we are very flexible in nature. So it's not about a strict program, but the program has inbuilt flexibility in it. Social media to create excitement, and MCP card as a central tool. We utilized a framework, it is known as C4, Consolidated Framework for Implementation Research, to understand our lessons further. So, and it talks about 5 elements: intervention, process, inner setting, outer setting, and individual characteristics. So then in intervention, we think utilizing the existing opportunities. If you bring something totally new and try to build in the system, it would not work. But if you are able to build your program on the existing opportunities, it is going to work. So it's a huge lesson for us. So we are utilizing the existing opportunities. The whole program is joyful and empowering. They own the program. The system owns the program. It is adaptable. We use local data for advocacy. It has a demonstrated scalability now. So if we are implementing programs in a few villages, usually it does not catch attention of the policymakers. But it was a very difficult decision for us when UNICEF asked us to work in 10 blocks in 2 districts. And although at Sewagram we had been doing lots of community-based programs, but it was a difficult decision for us because usually we used to work in about 100 villages, around 100 villages in our field practice area. And for this program, we had to go beyond our field practice area and work in approximately 1,000 villages in one neighboring district of Wardha, but another district was about 450 kilometers from Wardha. And it was a difficult decision. But when we took that decision, it catches the attention of the policymakers. When we are doing a program in 10 blocks in 2 districts, it caught the attention of the state. There's something which can be done at block level or in about 10 blocks can be scaled up at state level. And today, when a whole state is doing this program, the nation finds it scalable. So that is very important. As public health person or people from community medicine, many times we hesitate in implementing larger program. And today, our whole department at Sewagram will pitch in that if we get an opportunity, we should not leave that opportunity. So if your program does not succeed, fine. Accept it. It's not that you have to make the program successful, everything successful. But basically, we are in public health so that we are here to design programs which are scalable. It is not programs which are will be implemented in a small area. We are here to make design programs which are scalable in nature. We have to be aware of the policy context every time. And when you are thinking about a program which is scalable, being timely is very important. For early childhood development, somehow it happened, but we were timely. When we started working on this kind of this area in 2003, it was 20 years back. But today, early childhood development or nurturing care has come to center stage, not in the international and national context. And that's why everybody is looking to a model which is available on early childhood development and nurturing care. And we are ready with it. So one important lesson that we got is, as a future public health professionals or community physicians, it's important to visualize the future. You are going to work in the future. So don't always think of what would happen now. You should be coming up with solutions to problems which will happen in future. Both problems are changing and the approaches for solutions are changing. Think about a world 20 years later. It would be different in many respects. And as researchers, as academicians, it is important for us to understand that future. Then only we'll be able to design programs for the future. My understanding is that researchers work to design the future. And I would like to end with this quotation, which is very popular for early childhood development. If we change the beginning of the story, we change the whole story. I think you all would agree with this. So AARAMBH is about changing the beginning of the story. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Subodh, for this exciting and mind-boggling success story of AARAMBH. Maybe this is AARAMBH for many of the minds in this hall who will think of doing such things, those challenging ones in their professional course of life. At our department, our junior residents, PGs, are allotted sub-centers, and they have been going to sub-centers throughout their 3-year posting. Every Wednesday they have the MCH services, then on Saturdays they go there and have the domiciliary health care of elderly plus adolescent care. And with such a model which has been successful and been owned by the country, I believe we should learn from such models and try to inculcate and incorporate in our services, because you have already had the foundation laid with you, and we just need to grow up and build up on such models, which has been now time tested and proven over 2 decades now. I thank Professor Subodh for such an exciting presentation, and definitely this has opened up our mind to think beyond what we have been doing. We are highly grateful to you, sir, for this presentation. To commemorate sir's presentation, we have an honor with us. We have our principal and dean, Professor Masood Tanveer sir, with us, who has been always mentoring us to have such programs. Sir, thank you very much for coming to this place and listening to the presentation. Though you are very busy, but you have always been here. And I would request our Principal Dean to please say a few words about.
As we all know, the early years of life, that is childhood, is extremely important for the development of a child. Here we have the person who is the future sports person, he is the future intellectual, he is the future doctor, he is the future researcher, and he is the future scientist. And it should be the endeavor or duty of every individual to provide this child with the appropriate environment. And it starts from the home, where the first thing he needs is, I should say, appropriate parenting. So, because the first, education of any person starts from informal education, which starts from parents. They start teaching him the lessons of life. And the second thing is they should be provided proper environment to develop. And I will share some scientific fact with you after this. They need an environment where their creativity and imagination is evoked. And I'm very sure that was the job what our nani and nanas or dada and dadis, those fairy tales, would do. And recent some scientific facts have shown that you have an enormous number of neurons in the brain which remain unutilized. Maybe 5 to 10% get utilized, rest are not utilized at all. And every neuron makes connections with a lot of other neurons. And one given neuron may make synapses or connections with thousands of neurons, and maybe sometimes it may touch lakhs of neurons. But throughout the life of an individual, no current flows through these pathways, except if you imagine things. It is the imaginative pathway which makes these different channels to get activated. That is why there is the role of a child development by engaging them into imaginative activities. So teaching them 2 plus 2 is 4, this is a rata. This is not going to produce future scientists, this is not going to produce future innovators, this is not to produce those who will shake the earth. So if at all you have to produce future scientists, future great geniuses, you have to evoke the imagination of these children by whatever way. I think it should be at the heart of any development of a child that we engage them into imaginative activities where they have to imagine a lot. So I will not take much time, and in this regard I missed AARAMBH, but I am very sure this model of child development must have definitely looked into this aspect. If not, then I would strongly suggest that they incorporate a segment where they arouse the imagination of the child. And I would always prefer fairy tales, because they are the strongest innovators, innovations which our older generation used to have. Thank you very much, sir.